Makueni is my second county, sababu katika mpangilio wa serikali wa mambo ya upanzi wa miti, mimi ndio in charge wa Makueni. So I'm frequently making visits to Makueni, and let me promise, because kwa sababu mambo ya crop husbandry na nini ni function ya county government, nitashirikiana na wao. We have tuko na the directorate ya crop protection katika wizara yangu, ambaye pia inajaribu kubuild capacity kwa counties zetu na pia kuwasiliana na indara zile zingine nilizo nazo kwa mambo ya magonjwa, tuseme mambo ya utafiti ya kuweza kujua kama iko magonjwa fulani ni dawa gani tunaweza kutumia ili tuweze kusaidiana na makaunti. Na sababu kwa vile hayo mambo mheshimiwa ameafikiza hapa, wacha niseme ya kwamba ile kazi county inapaswa kufanya na ile sisi tunapaswa kufanya, tashirikiana na mheshimiwa gavana wao. Kama kuna jambo wanataka sisi tuweze kusaidia na kuhusika pamoja, tuko tayari, because sisi sote serikali ya county na kitaifa zote tunahudumia mwananchi mmoja, lakini it is our business as the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, and especially the Department of Crop Protection, kuhakikisha ya kwamba ukusaji na uzalishaji wa kahawa unafanyika kwa mazingira ambayo hakuna wadudu, ili ya pia isiweze kuadhiri ile quality, na ili tuweze kusecure soko yetu ambayo tulio nayo na kuongezea sababu ya ile quality ya kahawa sisi tutasalisha Kenya, sababu ndio kahawa ile iliyo bora zaidi katika dunia. Kwa hivyo mheshimiwa, please let me get in touch, tuelewe ni wapi na ni nini kile tunaweza kufanya. Tutaweza kufanya kazi pamoja na gavana wenu, sababu pia hako na majukumu ya kikatiba.
Seneta David Wakoli, ile Kiswahili yako urahisishe, usiweke ngumu sana ile wewe mwalimu wa Kiswahili.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa nafasi hii. Kwanza nimkaribisha waziri wa kilimo baada ya mchakato mgumu sana kuhusiana na pembejeo. Mheshimiwa Spika, langu ni kuuliza Mheshimiwa waziri, eneo la magharibi, eneo la Bungoma, kuna upanzi wa kahawa. Hivi juzi kumekuwa na madai na ishara kwamba kuna ulanguzi wa kahawa kutoka viwanda vya usagaji kahawa katika kaunti ya Bungoma kuelekea nchi jirani, na kwamba gharama ya kahawa katika nchi jirani ya Uganda ni bora zaidi kuliko nchi ya Kenya. Vile vile wakulima wanadai kwamba mfumo wa malipo wa fedha za kahawa hauwapi motisha na nishati ya kufanya ukulima, hivi kwamba karibu wanaanza kukata miti ya kahawa na kujiunga na taasisi ama ukulima mwingine. Mwisho kabisa Mheshimiwa Spika, katika upanzi na biashara ya kahawa, halmashauri ya viwanda kule Bungoma kuna madai ya ubadhirifu wa fedha za wakulima katika taasisi hizo. Ni mbinu zipi, mikakati ipi ambayo imewekwa na serikali na wizara yako waziri kuhakikisha kwamba halmashauri na viwanda havipunji pesa ya wakulima, na hivi kwamba pia fedha zilizopitishwa za cherry fund zinawafikia wakulima vitongojini kwa wakati unaostahili? Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Umeuliza mambo mengi na ulikuuliza moja, sijui sasa
waziri karibu kama unapata vipi. Bwana Spika, ni sawa nitajaribu, na pia unajua mbunge ni mpya, kwa hivyo with time ataelewa maneno ya mbunge vile imekuwa ikielekea kwa muda. So haina shinda, tuko na jukumu ya kuweza kusaidiana hapa, sababu ukiona ana bidii ya kuweza kutetea watu wake, that is required by any elected leader. Lakini Bwana Spika, nikishasikiza mheshimiwa vile amesema, ni kwamba mambo ya viwanda, mambo ya kuhakikisha pesa asijavunjwa, pesa mkulima amelipwa. Na ni kitu ya maana tuweze tumjibu, lakini ningeomba pia kuwe na a substantive question kwa hiyo, ili tuweze kufanya upelelezi vizuri na tuweze kujua with specificity hiyo ni area, ni kiwanda gani, mambo imekuwa fulani. Sababu pia ukiangalia swali ya mambo ya uzalishaji ama ya ukuzaji, hakuna swali ya kuwa ni ya ukuzaji na uzalishaji vile ingekuwa ni hiyo jukumu yangu, na pia kuweza kushirikiana na gavana wa huko, ili pia kama itakuwa na ili aweze pia kupata njibu ya kueleweka vizuri saini na kunjibu wapigaji kura wake, ili pia niweze kuhusisha wizara ya cooperatives ama ya viwanda, sababu hiyo kazi ama ile swali ukweli inaweza kuwa kunjibiwa vizuri katika kutoka kwa hiyo wizara. Lakini kama vile nimesema kwa ile swali lingine pia nitamuongeleza waziri nikitoka hapa, ili pia mbunge wa Koli tuweze pia kumpea njibu. Lakini ningeomba niambie, sababu hapa niandikie ni cooperative gani hiyo na hiyo issues, ili wakati waziri anatengeneza njibu ambayo tupeana hapa, ili iwezekane kuwa ni njibu inakuwa usikana ama inashughulikia that specific cooperative society, that specific area, so that hatupeani answer ambaye is just vague or so general. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Seneta Wakoli, vile waziri ameomba, unaweza panga swali iwe substantive question, kwa sababu hiyo maneno ya Bungoma ni wide. So,
asante Mheshimiwa Speaker, nitafanya jinsi umeelekeza ili nipate majibu. Asante.
Asante sana. Seneta Modigi Alexander.
Asante.
Swali moja tu tafadhali Mheshimiwa Modigi.
Asante Bwana Speaker, niko maswali bila, lakini nitauliza swali moja, nitafuatilia vile umenieleza. Bwana Speaker, swali langu ile nataka kuuliza waziri wa kilimo, nikiwa mwenyekiti wa kamati ya kilimo, huwa nafurahia sana kwa sababu tunajua kilimo kwa hii serikali ya Kenya Kwanza ni pesa mfukoni. Katika ulimwengu mzima leo ni siku ya kusherekea mambo ya kilimo ya majani chai, na hakuna tofauti majani chai na kahawa. Kwa hiyo kwa sababu unaona mtu akiwa na shamba analima upande mmoja majani chai, upande mwingine analima kahawa. Bwana Speaker, waziri wa kilimo, leo ikiwa ni siku ya kusherekea, na katika Kenya tuko namba 3 katika ulimwengu, na ukulima wa chai imeonekana imerudi chini sana, mambo ya bei. Watu wakijivunia leo, utasaidia namna gani kutoka leo mkulima wa majani chai bei iwe ile pesa itakuwa pesa mkononi, atapata faida kubwa? Kwa sababu unajua serikali ya Kenya Kwanza imekuwa tukikaa chini tukisema mambo ya revenue collection, revenue tax irudi chini, ndio mkulima aserekee. Utasaidia namna gani ama utafanya namna gani kutoka leo mkulima wa majani chai dunia mzima ikiserekea kutoka leo bei iwe ile inafaa, ndio aweze kufunza watoto, ndio aweze kulipa pesa ya hospitali na pesa ya kuweza familia isimame vizuri? Kwa sababu tunajua watu wameumia sana, wanalia. Na nikinauliza hiyo swali nikiwa ni mtu wa kutoka Embu, unajua Embu ni mmoja katika Kenya inalima majani chai, katika Manyata, Runyenje, na pia imeshika hata Kirinyaga, na pia Rift Valley, na pia hata Meru County nyingi. Kwa hivyo ningeuliza Bwana Waziri, utasaidia mkulima wa majani chai namna gani, ama umesaidia namna gani ndio kutoka leo au akifurahia? Asante Bwana Speaker.
Okay, waziri mambo ya chai pia jibu mheshimiwa Mondigi.
Mr. Speaker, I think is important to appreciate that before the current administration took over, the prices of tea were at their lowest. And in the first year, out of the interventions that the Ministry of Government put in place, including the subsidized fertilizer that we give to KTDA and to the farmers, we in the first year, we increased our production of tea. And as we sit here this morning, in fact, what is going through our minds is how we will be able now to ensure we have increased processing lines in our tea factories, because once we call upon farmers to go get back to their farms and increase the production of tea or do anything else that is agriculture related, the farmers intend to our core. I want to report that our production of tea by end of year will have doubled, and we'll have a big problem if we do not increase the processing capacity. And Mr. Speaker, contrary to the assertion by the Member of Parliament, last year, the bonus that we declared, or the money that Kenya, in terms of foreign revenue hand in the year 2023, rose to 180 billion from international trade. We earned 16 billion from local sales, meaning tea traded 196 billion shillings, and the average payments that we did was around 59.2, something that has never been achieved before. And even when you do a random check, most of the factories and the highest bonus, and the promise I want to make is that this year we'll even do better. So the tea sector is doing well. Where we've come from China, Mr. Speaker, and I had earlier mentioned, we are even getting people to partner with us to brand our Kenya tea, and our business is just to get land within the special economic zones. So the future of our tea is good. We have hope, because we also recognize that we have a problem with the markets. I remember even last year when I went to Pakistan, when there was no allocation of dollars to buy tea and to sit down with the Prime Minister to have tea enlisted as an essential commodity for us to have forex allocation to buy tea. So, Mr. Speaker, in the 16 months that we've been in office, in this space, in this tea sector, so much has happened. And I am saying that in another 15 months, we will be branding our Kenyan tea. We are adding value, we are doing value addition for our tea so that we can be able to get more money for our farmers. So I am clear, I am duty bound to ensure we do our best to support our farmers. And the Mondegi, when we go back to Embu, go and tell them, this year they will get better bonus payment than what they got last year. So relax, be assured we are doing what we can. The good thing, what we want to ask you, is to give us support and not become very populistic. Because when we become populistic, we answer to the gallery, and we feel to appreciate the challenges that we are all going through and the effect of certain statements that, or what certain statements may cause to our unsuspecting, innocent farmers. So when there are issues, let us sit, let us discuss them, let us see how to deal with them, because we all have a duty really to really make sure that our farmers really have the best. And the commitment generally from the President of this Republic, General Government, is that we must do whatever it takes to change the lives of our farmers. And I'm also happy that when you look at the performance of the agriculture sector, whether from the central bank reports, survey on the agriculture sector, the economic survey report that was released the day before yesterday, it leaves no doubt. It's not like ITIFA or the other thing that people go and corrupt here and then you find that whatever stories come out. So let us be genuine and know which institutions really can be able to give the authentic and genuine is also so that at least you really appreciate what we are doing. In the Mbita agenda, in our pillar number 1, agriculture is meant to transform the economy and the country because it creates more jobs. It is a source of raw material for industries. And once we all agree that we all come together and really we really change our country. And I'm happy, and you all appreciate, there are no people crying out there, they have no food. We stopped that business of discussing people are sleeping hungry. Probably what we need to do now is because they have lands, is how now to deal with the problems that has come with flooding and see how to plan ourselves for the future because the effects of climate change are real and we require to work together. And that's why we have a program to plant tea to really mitigate these effects. That is why, even under the question from Mheshimiwa Murango, advancing about the coffee issue of coffee get to the market because it's not come from deforested areas, is all about working on a strategy to ensure that even the coffee we sell does not come from deforested areas because of issues to manage climate change. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I can see several senators have supplementary questions, but I want them to go to the second question. Still, you have time to ask, you can still ask issues on coffee, even after you go to the second question. But let me pick at least two, Senator Sekirenko.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think I've been, possibly I was even the first one. To the first one. Thank you very much. I want to take this opportunity to also thank the Cabinet Secretary for finding time to come to the Senate to answer questions after a long time. I'm asking questions related to such kind of issues like the tea and coffee, but in my county we have a coffee known as livestock, or Kajiado County is a grassland, it's a rangeland county, Honorable Speaker. And being a rangeland county, we have grass. And as you know, we have a big problem in Kajiado County with a plant called Ipomea. This plant has consumed the entire county and is bringing a lot of problems to the livestock farmers. What is the plan and measures of your ministry to eradicate and rehabilitate this county and all the counties that has been affected by this Ipomea plant? I really want to hear from you because this is a big issue, and you can even hear from Marsabit, Isiolo, that plant has been a big problem to livestock farmers. And you know very well, without livestock, there is no wildlife. And you know, Kajiado County is known with wildlife, tourism. So I think it will affect more areas and much of the issues. And I want to be very happy, I will be very happy to hear what is the plan the ministry is doing to eradicate this plant called Ipomea. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the question coming from the Senator Kajiado. Senator, I think the plant you are referring to It's called, I think, Ipomea prosoposis or something. And it's a very dangerous plant. And right now, it's affecting around 37 counties in the country. It's a problem that Cabinet insists of, and we are trying to see how to deal with the effects of this plant to ensure that we protect our rangelands. I may not be able to tell you to what extent or the measures that we have developed, but I know my ministry, because when the matter came to the attention of Cabinet, this was brought by my sister Soipan Tuya, and we've already formed a committee to look at it. And I know on the 2nd, I think 9th of this month, we handpicked our technical teams from the ministries to sit down and look at it and be able to brief us on what we need to do. So the issue you are raising at the moment is timely. It is not possible for me to really tell you this is what we've done, because there's a team working on all these things. But once again, Chair, if this was a substantive answer or question directed to me, I would seek information from forestry, or we will be able to prepare a more comprehensive answer once consultations and the actual facts have been taken. But I want to appreciate the question, and I also want to tell you we assist of the matter, and there is already a working team to deal with that problem. So we also seek your indulgence and probably be able to give me more time to consult with the teams that are working on this, so that we are able to give you a more reasoned answer.
Thank you. Senator Seki, I think you can take that other route so that you will get a comprehensive answer with the timelines and what the government is doing. But even though it is in forestry or environment, it's also good to handle it in range management because it's in agriculture. So I think, Senator Seki, you'll be able to ask that question in a proper way. Senators, as I said, I can see there are senators who want to ask supplementary questions. But, Senator Tabitha, why are you crying of gender in the Senate? Yeah? That card, you should withdraw it completely in the Senate. You are always given equal opportunities with men. You seem to be weak today crying about gender, Tabitha. That is not you. So, Senators, I was saying we go to the second question, but still you can ask any question on agriculture as we move on, we progress, so that we don't stick on one question for 2 hours. So, therefore, the other question is from, who is ready, Senator Mugatana or the one who take brief for Senator Correa? Now, yes. Yeah, because now of the gender issue and the youth, then I give you the first priority.
Gender is not disability.
No, youth. You know she's a youth and proceed and ask the question number 042.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to bring to the attention of this House that I'm reading this question on behalf of my senior senator for Tana River, Senator Mungatana, who is away with the Cabinet Secretary, Penina Malonza, for a food distribution exercise for his people. So allow me to go ahead and ask what he would have done if he would be here this morning. One,
Proceed. I can see you are well seized of Tana River issues.
yes, has the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development assessed the losses suffered by both crop and livestock farmers, particularly in Tana River County, due to the recent heavy rainfall experienced across the country? And if so, what are the findings? Do I read all the questions? Or? Okay. The other question is, does the government have plans to compensate the farmers for the losses suffered? And if so, could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the budgetary allocation made for the said purpose and explain any measures put in place to ensure that payments are made in a timely manner and to the right individuals? Thank you.
Okay, Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply as follows at this question from the Senator Tana River. Let me first say, Mr. Speaker, that Tana River, as a county, in this short rain season, received enhanced rainfall in the months of October, November, and December, which resulted to floods and reports of death of human and livestock, destruction of property and livelihoods, as well as displacement of people was reported in the region. And the effects of the floods necessitated the formation of the National Regional Emergency Preparedness and Response Command Center on the 27th of November 2023 at the National Disaster Operations Center at Nyayo House. And this secretariat was charged with the responsibility of assessing and reporting on losses incurred by crop and livestock farmers. So, Mr. Speaker, the effects of the plans of these floods in Tana River is as follows. And because crop production is mainly done in irrigation schemes in Tana River, the irrigation schemes were really affected by floods, which caused serious damage and infrastructure. And the estimated area that was destroyed in Tana River within the 4 irrigation schemes are as follows: that in the Imbura irrigation scheme, an area of 2,698 acres was destroyed. The Tana irrigation scheme, 1,956. Vumbwe minor irrigation scheme, 50 acres. Ola irrigation scheme, 3,300. And the Tranda scheme, 2,860. And the many crops in those sub-counties of Tana River are many, which range from mangoes, bananas, citrus, maize, watermelons, and the rest. And the estimated value of crops damaged by floods from our assessment amounted to 734 million. The effects of these floods on livestock production as a main source of livelihood for Tana River County is also as follows: that we lost around 680 goats and sheep of around 510. And generally, the livestock infrastructure in that Tana River County was also affected, including the destruction of the rangelands and the pasture lands. So the interventions that the government on floods on livestock is in the month of April, we issued an alert on increased vector-borne diseases as a measure for preparedness and response to Rift Valley fever disease. We also, through the Ministry Directorate of Veterinary and DVS, issued an advisory to all counties to step up vector control measures and enhance surveillance. And the government, through the ministry, procured 1.4 million doses of Rift Valley fever vaccine and 450,000 doses of the blue tongue disease. And Tana River received 150,000 doses of RVF for vaccination of the animals. That is what we did as a ministry in terms of trying to really come through for the farmers or the people of Tana River County who lost their livelihoods through floods, either on the side of crops and livestock. And whether the government has plans to compensate farmers for the losses suffered, my response, and whether we have also a budgetary allocation meant for this purpose, I want to reply as follows: that the government's emergency response to the emergencies occasioned by floods does not include compensation to crop and livestock farmers affected by floods. The government has no budgetary allocation for the purpose of compensation of farmers affected by the floods, and it is worth noting that Tana River County is also affected by floods resulting from the enhanced rainfall in those months of April again and May. And this is the season we are in, and it is not possible to pronounce ourselves on the level of damage caused by the floods as at now, because the rains are still ongoing, and it is not possible to do a report to inform on the level of losses incurred as at now. We expect to deal with this issue once rains subside and everything now returns to normal. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kenyuri, do you have any supplementary question? Or any instruction from Senator Mungatana?
No, but I would request maybe to ask what's related to my area now, which is equivalent to some of these questions.
Proceed and ask.
Mr. Speaker, now that in relation to the floods we have been witnessing across the country, what plans does the ministry have to actually encourage young people? Because among the people who have been adversely affected are the young people. Look at areas like Muranga and Naivasha. Those young people, in as much as we want to encourage them to venture into agriculture, this has actually dealt as a huge setback, and most of them rely on support from parents who equally now are not able to. Maybe the cabinet secretary here should shed some light whether the ministry has a fund to even cushion such young people, or rather encourage them after such a huge setback. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I use my discretion to give 3 senators to ask their questions, then the CS can respond. Just a minute, Waziri. Senator Veronica.
Honorable CS, thank you for coming, and we hope that in your docket things will stabilize. Honorable CS, I want you to confirm whether there is an allocation in the budget, of course driven from your ministry, for a fund sufficient to pay off the outstanding cooperative debts that accrued to coffee farmers' accounts in the last few years, both in Muranga County and in counties where coffee is grown, and if it is there, how much of it is available to these farmers to clear the debts the same way sugarcane debts were cleared by the government?
Senator Andy. Oh, okay, you are, because I was checking this other side. Senator Waume Wamatinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. So I had gone to consult a bit with my friends. Mine is on this geospatial surveying. Buenos Aires, we know that the county governments have been conducting geospatial surveys, and your ministry, despite the fact that agriculture is a default function, is also planning to spend or to request budget allocation of 416 billion. Wouldn't it be cheaper for you to work in collaboration with the county governments, use the geospatial survey that they've done, maybe just customize it to your needs, so that one, you'd not be doing what the county governments are supposed to do, and two, more resources would be available for the county governments, and three, a technology transfer and know-how would be given to the county governments. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, the three questions together.
Mr. Speaker, I seek your guidance on how to deal with the issues, because one, when I started answering the question, Mr. Speaker, I didn't clear with question number one. And question number one was in regard to issues to do with coffee, and geospatial survey, and geospatial references on where our coffee farms. So we are over 1 hour after that question, and I'm being now asked to go back there again, question number one. Two, my able Secretary General of UNDA, Veronica Maina, has also raised a question again on whether we have money to pay for coffee debt, which is also a question which I also answered. I think Maina did not come. Madam, yes, there is what
Senator
we have said.
Veronica, you cannot engage the minister directly. But let me give, what I did, Honorable CS, I sent senators who are queuing to ask supplementary questions. So I decided to go to the second question, but any senator with any supplementary question can be able to ask. Because you have wide knowledge on whatever they're asking, so that is why I decided to go to the next question. Because I know you are not challenged to handle coffee again, but bear with the situation that senators are busy in other meetings. So they come, others go, others will be coming still and ask the same questions the first ones asked. So bear with us, and maybe you can just give...
Well, guidance, Speaker.
And you are doing so well indeed, by the way.
So, well, guidance, Speaker Maina, as my SG, let me go and tell the people of Muranga, these are the good news for them, that it is not only Muranga that we are going to deal with coffee debt. We are, the next cabinet meeting, the ministry, my ministry and Ministry of Cooperatives, we've already prepared a memo to seek approval to waive 6 billion debt for coffee farmers in the country. So whether it's Muranga, Kiambu, Meru, Bungoma, wherever it is, this one will be sorted. So that is the story, and I'm sure you will be happy, and the people of Muranga. So we are really trying to resolve the problems of our people. Young farmers, Madam, on whether what we intend to do to support our young farmers that have lost their livelihoods through these floods. You know, this flooding is an act of God. Simply put, we need to get prepared better in the future to deal with them. And just like I mentioned, it is not possible as at now to really establish what or the losses we have so far encountered, because the process of the rains are not over. But what I would have to really establish is, because you know, we have a program on crop insurance within the ministry, and some of the issues that probably we go through trying to argue to ensure that our farmers are properly taken care of, just like we've done in livestock. When livestock dies through drought, there's compensation that we do. We endeavor to check within the scope of a crop insurance what we can be able to make out of whatever has happened by sitting down with our insurers and discussing with them after the establishment of the level of loss, because right now it is not able to really to say with a lot of authority how much we've been able to lose. But I feel you and I understand what this means once we have encouraged young people to get to their farms to start producing food for this country, and this happens. And when we want to increase young people or to bring young farmers into our fund, and this happens, can be really very frustrating, can be very demoralizing, and it becomes a really unbound setback. Because when you look at the people that have been practicing agriculture, there are people above 60 years. So we have an ambitious program run by one of my technical people here to bring young people into agriculture. So I really understand and feel you that when we have put in people and the rains, floods destroy what they have done, it becomes very painful. So let us see how we can do it, but I am sure we'll be able to come up with a solution. Bwana Matinga, you asked whether we can work closely with the county governments to ensure that the geospatial surveys, we work with them closely so that there is money savings, so that at least we work out this thing together. Let me refer you to 74 of the Constitution, and specifically on the function of the county governments, which is crop husbandry. My ministry is joined to the hip with the county governments, and we cannot do anything without working together. Even the many projects that we are running, including the registration of farmers through the Kiamis system, is something we've worked very closely together with them, including the agripreneur model which we are launching during Madaraka Day, to be able to support our county governments and our farmers to realize our greater agenda cannot be achieved without us working together. So once we've gotten approval, once we have persuaded cabinet on this matter, the assurance I want to give you is that we'll work very closely. We'll see what role each one of the levels of government can do, because basically we are serving the same people. So my ministry and my operating one has been, is either we swim together or we won't drown between the national government or my ministry, the governors, because we all require each other. So I want to assure you, we'll work closely together. We'll see what role each one of us can play so that at least this is properly achieved. Thank you.
Senator Tabitha Mutinda.
Asante Bwana Spika. Tutajaribu kutumia lugha ambayo ya kitaifa. Na swali langu bado, Bwana Waziri, linahusiana na kilimo cha kahawa kulingana na mwelekezo wa Bwana Spika. Na swali langu haswa ni kuhusu mbolea speciali ya ruzuku ambayo wakulima wa kahawa hawapokei. Haswa sehemu ambayo mimi natoka, sehemu ya Meru, ambao sisi tuna upanzi wa kahawa. Sehemu nyingine ambayo pia mimi nawakilisha ya Eastern, haswa ikiongozwa na kaunti ya Makueni, ambao tuna upanzi mkuu wa kilimo cha kahawa, ukijua kwamba na ukikubaliana na bunge la seneti ya kwamba kiuchumi kahawa ni kilimo ambacho kiko kipaumbele. Mipangilio ipi ofisi yako kama bwana waziri iliyopo kuhakikisha wakulima wote wa upandaji wa mlima wa kahawa wanapokea mbolea speciali ya ruzuku mbolea speciali ya ruzuku? Asante bwana Spika.
Senator Mbugua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is related to the one by Senator Mungatana on livestock. And I would want to refer the CS to the session paper number 3 of 2020 on the production of livestock fodder. And I would want you to tell this House how successful it is and how you've taken advantage of the long range so that we can have enough fodder for our animals, especially in the northern region. Thank you.
Wakili Sige, Senator Bomet.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My question to the Honorable CS relates to his earlier response, particularly on coffee and tea. And I would like to get from the Honorable CS his appreciation and effort to deal with the unsold tea stocks currently in Mombasa, which of course dates back to as late as early in the year and late 2023, because as at now, statistics, Honorable CS, I believe you know, has got 206 million kilograms of tea which are lying in the warehouses. Much of it, over 50% of this, is tea that is from the western of the rift. The reports that we are getting from the Tea Board and KTDA is that this has led to a reduction in the price by around 40%. However much we are appreciating the efforts in the reforms that the ministry is doing, and which have actually bore some positive leads to the farmer and the benefits thereof, this aspect of unsold tea is something that most of our farmers are suffering a great deal. And remember, the Honorable CS, right now, we are experiencing heavy rains, and the production is definitely going to go up. The more the rains, the more the production, and the worry is, as much as we are unable to deal with this unsold stock, this will be a bigger problem, and this problem will be heavily on the farmers on the west of the rift. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, CS, answer those three.
Mr. Speaker, let me start with the last question and say that it is not true that we have 236 million worth of two stocks in Mombasa. The record that I have, because I indicated here yesterday in Mombasa, in Nandi, the Team Board of Kenya, and this is a team that I lent to China and the private farmers when we are sourcing for market, is that the figures the Senator is really mentioned are figures that date back last year. And immediately after, I appointed the current CEO of Team Board of Kenya, Mr. Willie Mutai, who has done a very, very, very good job. We've already been able to push the sales of tea, or been able to ensure that the tea whose stocks and really accumulated in Mombasa have been reduced substantially. And I think the tea that we have in Mombasa is slightly below 10 million from the figures that Mheshimiwa is mentioning. And I think it's also important to mention that why there has been a lot of tea, or why there was that accumulation of tea, is because the quality of the tea from a number of factories was not really very good. And tea being shown at the auction, and we had a reserve price of a certain amount of certain figures of $10, then any tea that will not fetch as good, then other than will be put back or removed from the auction, and then will be presented again. This is what it really cost a lot of backlog or stocks of tea not going. So this matter has been addressed. I don't like them being specific with the figures, especially through a supplementary question, because it's not properly backed by figures on which factory has what stock from what date. But we have reduced substantially the amount of tea that was lying in Mombasa warehouses. And the way we are doing, the way we are progressing, is because there's a number of reforms that we are bringing into the tea sector. Bring out those sales at the auction, including direct sales, including sale from our own factories. I am sure that our sale of tea right now, because I mentioned earlier that we did 196 billion, 180 from export and 16 billion local sales. So this time around, because there are mechanisms that have also been put in place, including roadshows to sensitize our Kenyan people, the need for them to be a source of market for our own tea, for them to take tea, because we have very big market that we have not really utilized. It's one of the we want to ensure before we get to that level of branding, getting other new markets, we are able to really to make sure that we do not have a lot of tea at the market, and by so providing an avenue to sell even our tea locally, we increase our sales. I don't know, Mheshimiwa Senator asked a question in regard to livestock fodder production. We have already a mechanism in place. We have two projects, one under Kelcop and Drive. This we launched last year. And the whole idea, and there is money, a $40 million US project, and the whole idea is to support farmers to do fodder production. We have put money under Kenya Development, KNDC, and AFC to ensure that those young men and women or anybody else who wants to engage in this business is able to access finances to do fodder production. And even within our land commercialization program, which we are really trying to fast track, we have also made it clear that we will set aside land to do fodder production. Because if we have to succeed in this area, we have really to bring the cost of animal feed in town for our farmers to be able to really realize very good value for their milk, for their animals. So this is a progress that Mheshimiwa has already started. It is in place. Please pay a visit to my office so that if you have any farmers that want supported and they have land, we can give money. They can be able to really come in and support the country in producing fodder for animals. Then I think is thank you, lady from Mira and Makueni in Ruo County. You've asked about fertilizer for coffee. Fertilizer for coffee under the subsidy program. I want to say yes. We offer coffee fertilizer under the subsidy program. It's called the 1717, something like that. And yesterday, I want to say yes, there has been a delay in the provision of the coffee fertilizer because of certain obvious reasons. You know, Kenya does not produce fertilizer. So we import. And it's common knowledge over the problems that we have had around the Red Sea on importation and many other issues. But yesterday evening, I confirmed that by end of day or tomorrow, we'll be able to have the coffee. If we mobilize a number of coffee fertilizer to around that are available, and I'm sure the 1717 coffee fertilizer will be available, I think, latest tomorrow, and ETG is providing or is bringing in this by end of day. So that one I can assure you, Mheshimiwa, at least we have made provision for that. We have confirmed its availability, and we will be in the market by tomorrow. Another question was, I think I answered Nanivron Kamina's question on the waiver of the budget allocation for the debt on coffee farmers. And I think I'm been able to at least be able to answer the questions that the members raised.
You have answered.
Thank you, Speaker.
Let's get another round from Senator Mandago.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'd like to ask a supplementary question. The CS, following what Senator Mutinda has asked about coffee, CS, we hear there are plans to waive loans for coffee farmers. There are also plans to waive loans for cereal farmers through the AFC loans. And are there plans in the supplementary question for Senator Mungatana for livestock, Honorable CS, to supply the outstanding milk coolers under the program that was run by your ministry through the support of Polish government? Some counties, like my county, Honorable Speaker, had already built the structures for the milk coolers. The milk coolers were supposed to come from national government, Ministry of Agriculture, and we are still waiting. We want to know whether there are plans to complete that project, Honorable CS.
Senator Miraj.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa fursa hii, na mimi niweze kumuuliza maswali mawili matatu. Mawili. Haya, sawa. Waziri, swali langu ni kuhusiana na viwanda ambavyo mbeleni vilikuwa vinamilikiwa na serikali kuu. Nikiashiria kiwanda cha Biksa pale Kwale na kiwanda cha KMC pale Kibarani, Mombasa County. Nimesikia katika maelezo yako ya kwamba KMC sahi imekuwa parastatal ambayo inapata faida. Na katika serikali iliyoondoka waliweza kuchukua Kibarani, Kenya Meat Commission, wakaipeana kwa KDF. Hivi sasa wananchi wa Mombasa kile ambacho wanapata kutokana na kiwanda kile ni kwenda kununua nyama pekee. Swali langu ni mipango gani kama wizara mko nayo kuweza kuondosha lile deni ambalo linadaiwa na kampuni ya Biksa ili vijana wetu waweze kupata ajira? Na pia katika KMC iliyoko Mombasa County Kibarani, tunataka kujua iwapo kuna juhudi ama jitihada zozote ambazo wizara imeweka kuweza kuiregesha KMC kwa raia, ili isiwe tu tunanunua nyama bali pia zile ajira zinarudi kwetu. Nadhani umeona kumekuwa na pilika na malumbano kuhusiana na watoto wetu kula migokaa. Na mimi imani yangu kubwa sio kwa sababu ati mgokaa ni muhadarati. Mimi naamini watoto wetu wanakula mgokaa kwa sababu hawana ajira. Hivyo basi naomba wizara yako iweze kuweka bayana iko mipango gani ya kuweza kuoffset yale madeni ambayo yako kule kwenye kiwanda cha Biksa Kwale na Mombasa, ikiwa KMC inaweza kuregeshwa ili iweze kudhibitiwa tena na raia, ili watoto wetu waweze kupata ajira, wawache kula mgokaa kuanzia asubuhi mpaka jioni, iwe wanakula mgokaa jioni kama starehe peke yake.
Sasa swali yako ni moja lakini unauliza with 1000 ones. Senator Sheikh Abbas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mine is a supplementary question, and that follows the question asked by Senator Gatana. Honorable Speaker, farmers along River Tana, especially in the lower stream, have had a lot of problems in the past and even now. That whenever it rains, the dams, the Kenyan dams are flood, and it destroys all the farms along for the three counties and part of even Kwale. That is Garissa, Tana River, Lamu, and part of Kilifi is destroyed. The last 3 seasons, farmers have not harvested anything. Most of the farm structures have been destroyed. Even the citrus fruits have been destroyed. Is there any plan for your ministry? You see, whenever there's a disaster, farmers normally get compensation or they've been assisted. The way it is, this time you're now waiving and bailing out coffee farmers. At your backyard, last time, the farmers in the Mira farmers have been bailed out when there was the Mira had been stopped from Somalia and all those places. But these farmers never get compensation. The farmers are not producing anything. So, Bwana Waziri, is there anything in place for you to support? Because the downstream farmers are really having problems, and they never harvest anything for the last 3 years. So, is there any interventions or any plan from your ministry or the government to support those farmers to at least recover from the losses? Thank you.
He has answered those 3 questions. Then we go to the last question from Senator Joyce Korir.
The last question, Mr. Speaker, I think the same question was asked by the great lady who asked the question on behalf of Mukatana. And I said, we'll look at how, it is not possible for us at now to establish the loss incurred by the farmers out of these floods because it is premature. The rains are still ongoing. We've not taken full stock. And I gave an update of the acreage of land that has already been destroyed by the floods. And you never know, they may have to extend to other farms. But once this exercise is followed, and even if there is nothing else that can be done, just like you see, we've been moving people from the riparian areas for fear of the overflows affecting our people, and cabinet can sit down and make decisions, then at that appropriate time, I will be able to present a case for consideration. But for now, I wouldn't want to tell you that there is so much money that you can be able to do. Secondly, I said that we have a crop insurance, we have crops insurance. It will be necessary for us, once this is done, to sit down with our insurers and see how we can be able to come through for farmers. So I would suggest, Mheshimiwa, that we give it some bit of time because there's a need to consult further, but you're also raising these questions at a very good time because any decision that we make from now henceforth is also informed by the sentiments that the honorable senators are making, because they will also we must be able to capture the feelings of the representatives of the people, and if we have to come up with a solution, it's a solution that really addresses and it can be appreciated by the people that really intend to really indemnify, just in case we get a very clear way on how to do it. Madam from Mombasa, one, let me put it very clear, because you are saying you want KMC back so that people don't chew Muguka and Mira. Mira and Muguka is a scheduled crop. I was in the National Assembly when we amended, and I think Mheshimiwa Cheptumo, when we amended the Crops Act to provide Muguka or Mira as a crop just like any other. And it's really unfortunate that you find that in some areas of this country, people would want to treat those farmers or those crops as if they are lesser crops. So from the Senate, Miraa, Muguka is a crop like cotton, like maize, like any other, and requires specific or respect, just like any other. And for avoidance of doubt, even the Half and Directorate, a law that was passed through the creating law of AFA, recognizes and directorate called the Miraa and Pyrethrum Directorate. So we cannot negotiate because Miraa is in law. Whether, just like tobacco, even tobacco is a crop. And each of these crops that we have in the country have specific benefits to the country. So what I do not want to tell you or to assure you is that we will take back KMC to the public. KMC will remain as a government agency, and KMC is doing a very good job under the leadership of the Major General. And for the first time, I think KMC is making profits. KMC, when you take your cows or your animals to KMC, you don't take years. You don't. And I want to ask our livestock farmers, don't bother so much of looking for market for your livestock. Once your livestock is of age, please, you don't have to make sure, deal with us to go talk to KMC, get a movement permit, carry your ng'ombe to KMC. They will be bought instantly. So we have already gotten enough, we have already market for our livestock. And you will not take beyond 72 hours to be paid, and they do not require any money, right, from government so that they can pay you. It's a commercial enterprise that is running well, that is generating revenue, and I'm looking forward to a time, or in the very near future, when we will have paid all those debts, and they will be paying money back to the exchequer. So that is the position. So the people from the Asaro counties, the people that are keeping livestock, we have a market that is assured, and really don't have to really be afraid. And the prices are very good. The manner or the process of identifying the value is on grading. The grading system is what is paying farmers at the KMC. So that if you have kept your animal well and is of good quality, then you fetch a better price than anyone else who has not really taken care of his animal. That recognizes or appreciates or rewards really good work and proper animal husbandry. So KMC is there to stay where it is, because we done a good job. It's buying our farmers, is buying animals from our farmers, and they are paying us in good time. The senator for Washinigishu, coolers. Coolers, we have really talked about coolers for quite some time, and we intend to really actualize this dream the shortest time possible, possibly before the end of the year. You know, at times, there are things that are beyond our control. When I took over the ministry, this project has been there for quite a long time. And you know, this is a pet project for the president because we want to create value or to ensure that our milk from our farmers is not spoiled, and they need to have these coolers. I would say that we were not very fortunate because this is a Polish-tied credit between Poland and Kenya. And unfortunately, before we could conclude, because even Treasury had sent money to my ministry to really pay and meet our bargain. There was change of guard in Poland and government changed. So when government changed, it became difficult for us to immediately continue with that program, because they said they required time to do an audit of the projects that the former administration has gotten itself into. This give us a very serious setback, and that's where we are. But I want to also say that we have already now agreed that I think the Prime Cabinet Secretary will be leading a delegation to Poland next month, so that we can see whether we can be able to sort out this matter with the Polish government with a view to now commencing the process or restarting the process of availing coolers to our farmers. That is the position, Mheshimiwa Mandago. We regret the delay, but you know, how I wish Kenyans were paying enough taxes that we will be able to really finance our projects and not be able to really have to beg throughout. So we have to bear with the situation. So that is where we are for now. But I'm sure we won't be able to really avail of coolers to our farmers. And the faster it is done, I will be their best person, because our farmers have done what they're supposed to do. Milk production has increased in the country. So I would really want to ask Lindas really to also give us options, give us support, so that at least we really do not discourage our farmers. But leave it to us. Let's see what comes out of the meeting we are going to Poland, no, that we are going to have in Poland, that we'll be able to sort this problem. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Sige, you ask question number 019. Mike.
Thank you. I think now I'm on record. Before I ask my question, Mr. Speaker, I note from the order paper that this was the first question that ought to have come prior to the other two.
You are out of order, Senator.
And
just ask the question.
I'm just raising concern, Mr. Speaker, so that we are allowed to plan ourselves appropriately. I came in at 9 because this question was meant to be asked by Senator Joyce.
Yeah, also the speakers are to reorganize.
I didn't hear the Honorable Speaker reorganizing the order paper. Mr.
Just
Speaker,
ask the question, Senator Sige.
this is a question on behalf of Senator Joyce Korir to the Honorable Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock Development. Question 019A. What measures has the government put in place to ensure that all meat sold in Kenya meets requisite standards for human consumption? And could the Cabinet Secretary clarify whether the government monitors the entire meat supply chain from slaughterhouses to retail outlets? B, could the Cabinet Secretary state measures put in place to ensure proper disposal of meat certified as unfit for human consumption, and also guarantee that carcasses of already dead animals are not slaughtered and sold to unsuspecting Kenyans? C, could the Cabinet Secretary provide an update on all court cases regarding the sale of uninspected meat? And lastly, Honorable Speaker, D, what strategies and initiatives has the government adopted to promote value addition in slaughterhouses, particularly concerning byproducts such as hooves, hides, and skins, to enhance the economic returns for livestock farmers in Kenya? I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
CS.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply as follows. that we want to, as government, we implement certain requirements under the schedule, fourth schedule of the Constitution on distribution. We appreciate the functions of each level of government as provided for in Schedule 4 of the Constitution. And the national government develops veterinary policies which are implemented by county governments to ensure meat safety. And in addition, the national government offers capacity building and technical assistance to the counties. So once ensuring that there is a safety of the meat that comply to standards that meet the international requirements for any food items for consumption, the government has developed a number of legislations to address this particular issue. Number one, we all know that we have the Animal Disease Act Cap 3 System 4 that provides all animals presented for slaughter are free from disease and that they are moved to slaughterhouses accompanied by a movement permit, which attests the provision of Animal Disease Act have been met. So that is one of the measures we have put to ensure compliance with the Animal Disease Act of this System 4. There is also the Meat Control Act. These are the pieces of legislation that are in place to guarantee safety of our meat. The Meat Control Act, which also is an assurance of meat and for meat safety, and provides for control to be exercised over meat and meat products intended for human consumption. And the Meat Control Act has also provided for the inspecting officers, where the Act so authorizes a meat inspector or the government to ensure that before any meat is consumed or is properly inspected. And within the mandates of the meat inspectors, the meat inspectors have to do an ante-mortem inspection. The ante-mortem inspection is where you look and establish the meat inspector examines the animals to ensure.
Sorry, yes, I want to. I've been consulting the owner of this question because this response is very comprehensive and it is here with me and it has been circulated. Whether Honorable Sigei is comfortable with this response, because it's very comprehensive actually, so that I want to know from the owner of the question whether the response is you are satisfied, then we make some progress. Senator Sigei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have gone through the...
Just give him the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do confirm that I've gone through the response from the Honorable CS. I've equally shared with the questioner, that is Senator Joyce, and I believe she's gone through it. And as comprehensive as it is, Mr. Speaker, we do not necessarily need to trouble the Honorable CS to go through the entire of this particular response. He could just highlight maybe particularly with... I'll have only a single supplementary,
yes, just
which is...
supplementary, then we make progress and give a few senators, then we conclude.
Very well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. My supplementary question is with regard to the efforts that the ministry is undertaking in a bid to enhance the leather industry. In terms of the value addition, in terms of the improvement in the technological aspect of the tanneries that are currently in place, because I do recall that sometimes back, the Lake Basin counties, where Bomet County is a member, had efforts to set up a tannery that will serve the region, because the current 14 tanneries, we do not have one from around that particular region. So I would be very happy to hear what efforts the Honorable CS and the Ministry are doing to enhance that aspect.
Okay. Honorable CS.
Speaker, before I even answer his question, and I really appreciate your guidance and appreciation of the comprehensive nature of the answer given. Allow me just to mention this within a minute or two, because we have comprehensive legislation to really address all our issues. Our main problem has really been enforcement. And upon realization of this, Mr. Chairman, today is the first day since we launched the RRI, the Rapid Resource Initiative, to ensure meat safety. And what we have done generally for the distinguished senators to understand is that we have formed a multi-agency team. We have formed multi-agency teams in all the 47 counties. The lead CSs in this matter is Interior, Agriculture, and Health. And this is to ensure that no meat is out there that is not safe. So we have highway patrols, roadblocks have been mounted. We have weekly patrols on inspections for compliance. We have hotspots for illegal slaughter. We have mapped out those illegal hotspots for illegal slaughterhouses, and especially and trying to deal with the donkeys. And out of all this, Mr. Speaker, we are getting very good results. But this is being done through the multi-agency team to ensure that our meat, our food is safe for human consumption. Mr. Sgei, you may be aware that the leather value chain is also a very key area in the Mbita and Jeddah. We have programs that we are dealing with at the Department of Livestock, like Linda Ngozi. And the idea is to ensure that we are able to mop up all the hinds and skins around and that is available, because we want to make sure that there is value out of use of these skins. The tanneries, or the manner in which we want to hand value to our skin, is a process that is we are trying to deal with. And I think it will be important for even members to know why hinds and skin is an area where people have not been very keen. 1 square feet of leather goes for around 94 shillings. But when we want to convert or turn this leather to leather that you can use for our shoe, for our leather bags, for our belts, the chemical used, the level of the component of leather, in terms of pricing, goes to around 87 shillings. So the material or the leather we require to really turn or use to make our leather more useful is an area that has become too expensive. That is why you find even the current finance bill, we have proposed to reduce tax on material that will be used for leather, to turn leather, so that at least we are able to bring down that cost. Secondly, Kibabii University and Dedan Kimathi University, we are having programs on how through innovation and science and innovation, we are able to come up with the raw material that is required, that is the glue we are talking about. And research on these research universities have done quite well, because we now can say we are able to produce that particular chemical locally from the initial stages, from the initial trials that have been made. The next phase we'll be asking probably Parliament is for us to support these universities to be able now to commercialize them, so that at least our leather value chain and area really is able to achieve the intended objective. So, Mr. Speaker, some of the things that we are doing are things that have taken us quite, we have taken quite handy decisions to make them. However painful they are, a few Kenyans will really understand why we have to do it. Others will make political capital out of it. People are probably being overtaxed for several reasons, but we are saying we have to really make certain decisions that may be painful for now, but at the end of the day, we'll realize the results and we'll be able to sort some of the big problems that the country has. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, thank you. Senator Chalgei, do you have a supplementary question or you are going for the other motions?
No. I have a supplementary question. Since question number 1. Mheshimiwa Speaker, nataka nishukuru Waziri wa Kilimo kwa kupata fursa kuweza kufika katika bunge la Seneti, na nashukuru kwa ile mabadiliko anafanya katika sekta ya kilimo. Ingawa najua si sekta rahisi sana, ina changamoto. Mheshimiwa Speaker, labda ningependa kuuliza waziri atoe hakikisho kwa taifa, kwa sababu tumeona katika vyombo vya habari ya kwamba kuna upungufu wa pembejeo ambayo inawekwa juu ya mahindi, ama katika inaitwa kwa lugha ya Kimombo top dressing. Swali langu ni je, anaweza hakikisha taifa la Kenya kuwa iko katika magala ya kitaifa iko pembejeo ya kutosha kwa wakulima wa mahindi, kwa sababu niliona katika vyombo vya habari, na mwisho ikiwa ameweka ridhaa kwa wale wakulima ambao walipata matatizo kidogo kupitiana, kwa sababu walikuwa ameweka katika kila magala, kwa kama kulikuwa na mkulima alipata shida wakati wa kutoa mbolea miezi iliyopita, ametoa hakikisho gani kwa ni wakulima wangapi wamepewa ridhaa, na kama hiyo changamoto tumepita kama taifa, kwa sababu tunashukuru, kwa sababu hata yeye mwenyewe akiwa kaunti ya Nandi jana, na amesema yeye mwenyewe kuwa kutokana na ile mbolea subsidy ambayo inatolewa, tumepata mapato zaidi, hasa sekta ya masuala ya majani chai. Mheshimiwa Speaker, so waziri tu atoe hakikisho kwa wakulima wa Kenya na aseme neno moja tu, na roho zetu zitatulia kama wakulima wa taifa la Kenya. Asante sana, Bi Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I am aware kuna itilafu kidogo hapa na pale kuhusu pembejeo ya top dressing katika taifa letu, na ninajaribu kuweza kuhakikisha hiyo shinda imeweza kuimaliza, lakini lazima tuambiane ukweli, ama ukweli uweze kujulikana, sababu mambo sio rahisi vile saa ingine sisi tunayo ama watu na viongozi wangeweza kufikiria. Madam Speaker, tungekuwa na pesa hapo yote, hatungekuwa na shinda ya watu kupewa pembejeo hata waweke kwa magala yao. Kama kuna pesa ya kutosha ya kununua in advance hiyo pembejeo. Itilafu hii iliyoko kwa sasa ambayo tunataka kuimaliza by end of week ni sababu tulikuwa na ukosefu na pesa haikuwako. Wale suppliers wa fertilizer hii without proper documentation, and this is what we are working on. And when we are almost getting to the real culprits, people out there looking for people to support them, I will not allow. I will make sure that things are done the right way. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable CS. It's accountability all the way across all the departments and ministries. Senator Gloria Oroba.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is about the markets. I appreciate that we have 7 main exporters and you've highlighted them. And my supplement question is that, what is the minister doing in terms of ensuring that in the past we had our livestock produce blocked from markets such as Europe? And the concern was about disease control. I don't know what the status is. Maybe if you can highlight the status on those markets that were blocked, if possible. And if there's anything that we are doing in terms of creating disease-free zones, which is what was required of Kenya in order for our livestock produce to be accepted in markets such as Europe. You also spoke, the final one, you also spoke about the lots, the feeding lots, and the feed lots to promote the quality of our meat for export. Is there any additional value that the ministry is doing in terms of the feed lots, and just to ensure that they are sustainable or add value on the activities that are ongoing there? Thank you.
Honorable CS, if you could hold a bit, we take 2 more questions. Hold a bit, Honorable CS, we take 2 more questions. Senator Bogwa, then followed by Senator Okech Eddie Isharu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question to the CS. We all know that the meat market, we have a lucrative meat market in Middle East. Can you specifically tell this House what measures the government has put in place so that the small scale farmers who are keeping livestock can benefit from that market? Thank you.
Senator Eddie, so that we give the CS time to respond to those 3 questions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I think I'll go there so I can see the CS's eyes. I think I'm blocked, so I'll use this because I can't see the CS from this other side. CS, I'm Senator Eddie Okech from Migori County, and my concern, and it goes with the previous question that we had explored around coffee, and the same magnitude of investment that I'm seeing in coffee is what I would wish to see in Migori's Lower Kuja Irrigation Development Project in Nyatike County. And my question to you, Bwana CS, is that there has been a prolonged and inordinate incompletion and lack of compensation to the farmers who are doing rice in that particular region. That rice scheme in Lower Kuja, Bwana CS, has got a very immense potential. And this is something that 2 Senates have had petitions on this, and the national government hasn't dealt with. My predecessor, Honorable Chila Yako, during his time, this particular issue came here, and those farmers in Nyatike have not been compensated, and the completion framework for that rice scheme also did include a serious yarn to be able to figure out the market strategy, where you will find that paddy rice is being taken all the way to Uganda, and the people in Nyatike just remain to be people who are having their land exploited, Senator, and they don't get benefit
Senator
from.
Senator Eddie, I know the female senators have much more words than the male senators for some reason, but your question now sounds like a whole essay.
No,
Can you shorten it and make it
Chair,
specific,
precise? I was actually going to make it precise, but I think on this issue, because CSS have come over and over and it hasn't been addressed, I don't even need an answer. I needed just the CS to actually be able to take note on this and even live with me here and go and help me solve that issue in Lower Kuja, in Senate.
Question time.
Yes, it is.
You are so allowed to pose it as a question so that the CS responds to it.
Yes, Chair, I really wish that you would allow for framing of questions, because the CS wasn't asked this question when it was coming here. And if it doesn't have the right texture for it, then it will just be another charade of just asking question for the sake of asking question, but I'm asking a very serious question on that completion and compensation of those farmers so that we find a long-lasting solution to the people of Nyatike and Migori. And lastly, as I finish, would you also just make a comment on the Karamu habitat, where on the Karamu slaughter that I heard you talk about the potential for prime meat, and in Karamu in Kuria West, there is a slaughterhouse that has been there for the longest time, and the case for investment is not clear from the national government. Would you also just comment on that as well, Bwana CS? Thank you so much.
Honorable CS.
Madam Speaker, let me start with generally answering as the Migori County Senator and tell him the ministry has a framework or is developing in the process of ensuring that the areas that we have identified as potential for rice farming are properly supported. I remember some time back, because rice really is a close substitute for maize. And our consumption for rice is beyond 1 million tons every year, and we do not produce 30%. And that is one of the reasons why there is serious squeeze on our foreign currency, because we have to pay so much money going out there. So we have identified areas, including that area of Migori, where we want to really support farmers, really grow rice, including Tana River. There is another in Kirinyaga. So there are areas that we have agreed that require support for rice production. I may not be able to specifically tell you in terms of whatever support is coming to your county, because you also know that's not a question I was really prepared to answer. But if you want me to give you more specific answers to the question, then we don't mind getting a request on that particular answer, on whatever you want us to explain to you on what we are doing. You are a senator, your governor is my friend. We've discussed once in a while on how to support Migori, and I was supposed to have been there on the 13th, 14th, but unfortunately other things arose. I was not able to make it, but I made a commitment. I will just visit. But out of those areas that we want to support farmers to grow enough rice, at least for us to be able to bring down the rice in deficit in the country, your county is one of them. The Kalama slaughterhouse you've just mentioned is also a slaughterhouse. I may not be able to really give more details about it because I've had Kalama for the first time and from the floor. And given time, we may be able to do some bit of research and give my officers opportunity to look at it and be able to respond appropriately. But allow me generally to say that the issue about trade markets for meat, and why I think is Oroba that the senator asked what we want to do, and Mheshimiwa also has on the specific measures we are taking. Why we've had issues with our meat going out, why our export for meat has had issues, is because we've not complied to certain standards. And the standards, some of them, are to ensure that our animals live or are in quarantine, so that the risk of disease is minimized, so that we are able to control the foot-mouth FMD and other diseases. So one of the strategies or reasoning behind the 31 feedlots that we want to do is to ensure that the animals that we keep within the feedlot system are animals that will finish properly, so that we improve on the quality of that beef. And now invite those countries that have expressed interest in getting our meat to come and do visit and see where animals are kept, because they will satisfy that requirement of animals being under quarantine. Their movement is restricted, the disease control is in place, and for that matter, then the probability of them getting high quality disease-free meat is guaranteed. So that is one of the reasons behind the feedlot system, so that if the South Africans, the people from Jordan, can fly in tomorrow and take them and tell them, this is where our beef will be coming from. Whether it's in Isiolo, whether it's in Turkana, wherever it is, they can be able to see. That is one. Two, the export markets for meat in Middle East, UAE, are the biggest markets for our beef. And so that we also ensure that it's quality, and safety in our beef. We've now operationalized 9 export slaughterhouses in the country. 9 slaughterhouses in the country, so that they're able to comply with the standards that are required. And this is whole idea is towards being able to finish our beef properly, to be able to ensure that our access to the foreign market is achieved. I want to tell you that 10 days ago, our team came back from Uruguay. We had sent a team of farmers, people, livestock keepers, just like I did with the tea. So our livestock keepers and the ministry went all the way to Uruguay to visit and to learn on how or what the requirements of access of beef to the EU market is like, so that at least we are able also to ensure that what we produce is market targeted. And once we comply with their requirements on production, then our market is properly assured, and our farmers will be happy. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to thank you, and I'm losing my voice because of a cold.
Honorable CS, do you need water?
Unless it's warm, which is not possible.
Sergeant at Arms, you can organize to assist the Honorable CS so that he can be able to finalize the questions. What is your point of order, Senator Gloria?
Madam Speaker, if possible, I had asked if the Cabinet Secretary could clarify whether the status of our livestock produce export to Europe is still the same, because we are blocked. We are losing out on 400,000 tons. That was where we left it. If he can clarify whether we are still blocked from exporting to Europe, because he has explained on the measures they are taking. But are we still blocked, or is that a market we are accessing?
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable
Madam,
CS.
I have said we've just sent a team, or received a team back from Uruguay. And the idea was to learn and see how better to access the EU markets. Markets are blocked, or markets are probably unsanctioned because of failure to comply with the standards. And whatever we are doing is to ensure we are in compliant with market requirements. When some time back we lost some market of avocado, was because of farmers harvesting immature fruits. So, and the level of enforcement of rules or regulations that are in place, and understanding that our export market is very sensitive. We must take the necessary measures. So I've told you, I was trying to enumerate the kind of measures we are taking so that we secure that market. And I think, in my view, we have very many unscrupulous people. And if we do not really comply or enforce these rules, the probability of loss of that market is high. So let me stop there, Madam Speaker.
Honorable CS, you've been given the warm water you requested for. You could take a minute so that you come back and maybe respond to Senator Eddie Okechi's question and the final question of Senator Karungo Dhangwa. You want a clarity?
Bwana CS, what I was raising, and I was asking whether your ministry is aware, is that for the last 6 years, the Lower Kuja project, and I know that you say that the government is supporting this, but the Lower Kuja Rice project in Nyatike, the National Irrigation Authority did take a lot of land for the development of that nucleus project there. And when they took that land, there was supposed to be compensation that was very clearly articulated by the national government through the authority to all the farmers who are there in Nyatike. And up to date, Bwana CS, they haven't been able to receive compensation. And this has left them to that exploitation where they've lost their land, while also they cannot be able to participate in the rice production. This is the question I was asking,
Senator
whether you can be able to help us
Okech,
intervene on.
If I can give a guide, that's a very substantive question. It does not sound like one that is strong enough to come in as a supplementary to the original question that the CS was asked. I would guide that you pose it as a substantive question through the Secretariat, then the Honorable CS can come back with actual figures, because compensation is about money, it's about funding, it's about very specific answers to that question. And it sounds like a very weighted question for the people of Nyatike. But Honorable CS, if you want to throw in a comment, that would be the guide I would give on that supplementary question.
Chair, I agree with you completely, and we don't mind that coming because it's the right way to go. But allow me finish on the matter to do with the EU market, because it appears much more very keen on this. And I was just trying to be very moderate. And you see, one of the greatest problems that we've had in most of our markets, access of markets for meat, is the foot and mouth disease. And if you remember, 2 months ago, Kenya signed the economic partnership agreements with the EU, and this was part of the process towards accessing the EU market. And you see, the ministry is working towards meeting the EU standards despite the many challenges that we are facing. And for us to be able to be within the standards agreed and set is why we are bringing in the issue of quarantine, ensuring our animals are under feedlot system, so that at least there is a proper high degree of measure of control of disease. Thank you.
Honorable CS, I can see you need to take a break. I don't know whether you're able to take one more question from Senator Dhangwa to close the session. You can try. So I think, Honorable Senators, you will bear with the CS. He will take only one more question, and ideally I should have released him. He's been on his feet, and I think he's a bit indisposed. So we'll have the final question from Honorable Senator Dhangwa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and of course for your generosity to serve our CS with hot water. Should have just added a little bit of sugar and coffee for him to enjoy one of the crops that he is mandated to protect. Madam Speaker, my question goes towards what the CS has said about the Agricultural Finance Corporation, because not so many Kenyans know and understand that this corporation gives loans to people who want to develop agriculture. So my question is in that line. As a department, what are you doing to sensitize, to make sure that Kenyans are aware, and especially the youth, so that they know and they understand this is one of the corporations that give loans with little or less interest compared to the others, Madam Speaker, so that Parliament can see the efforts, then they can allocate more money to AFC. And in conclusion, Madam Speaker, now that the CS has said he is going to release the list, maybe he can tell us how many days do we give him so that he releases that list of all those politicians. You know, they were not kind to him during the impeachment time, so don't be kind to them. Yeah, release the list of any politician who has taken any money at AFC and how much they have taken and why, whether they have told you whether they will be paying or not, Madam Speaker. So we need the senators, we need the MPs, we need the executive, everybody who has that money at AFC, the name must be published. Actually, this will be another way of sensitizing so that Kenyans now can understand there is money for them, but some politicians are taking it.
Senator Eddy, what's your point of order?
Madam Speaker, I'm raising on a point of order number 101 on the content of speech, Madam Speaker. Is it in order for the senator for Kiambu to actually impute that members of parliament, for which our standing orders does not allow, to impute that the members of parliament were unfair to the CS in any way, in whichever deliberations? And if it's not in order, Madam Speaker, may he withdraw that statement and apologize, Madam Speaker.
What is your point of order, Senator Cherargei?
Mr. Speaker, under Article 10, the rule of law and principles of natural justice, and there is what we call judicial notice. What Senator Tang was just mentioned is in the public domain. It is not new. So Senator Eddy should take judicial notice of the fact that the liberation, and Senator Tangwa did not go into detail or the substrata of the engagement that was done in the lower house. So that Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, allow that matter to rest there. Senator Eddy wants to milk political capital, which is no longer there. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
There are 2 points of orders that have been raised, one by Senator Eddy and a response point of order by Senator Cherargei. The first one is regarding the rationale of the judgment, whether the National Assembly was fair to the minister or was not fair. That is a question that was considered before the committee in the National Assembly and should be left to rest there. The decision was rendered and given. Whether it was fair or not fair, that remains subject to the opinion of everybody, the masses. We do not have to kill ourselves with it. The judgment has been rendered. The verdict was rendered. And in all fairness then, it would also not be correct for Senator Dangwa to impute that it was either fair or not unfair. It was not subject of discussion. You said they were not kind, not fair. It does not go to the content. It could be the personal opinion. So we could leave it to rest there. The verdict, what holds anyway, is not what Senator Dangwa is saying, whether kind or unkind. What holds is the verdict that was rendered by the committee. And since we did not have this as a substantive topic being discussed or a question being raised in this House, I will guide and direct that we let it rest there. It was rendered, the verdict was rendered, so I'll give the Honorable CS an opportunity now to respond to the substantive question. Thank you.
I think I'm being heard. I think the question I have to require to respond to is Honorable Dhangwa's question on what we are doing to ensure or to make the public aware of the role AFC is playing in the agricultural sector, or to make the farmers aware that there is money from available at low interest rates at AFC. I won't say, Mheshimiwa, that I think for those people that are really serious, engaged in farming, know the existence of AFC. AFC has three branches in the country, including Kiambu. So it is there, and is properly branded AFC, Agricultural Finance Corporation. And just like you cannot go banging and shouting, come for money, because money, anybody who wants money must know where to get it and must have a reason, because it cannot be given without a reason. And they have prudent guidelines on how to advance loans. So any farmer that has pressure will always knock at the door of AFC, and you will be financed. I want to tell you, Chair, I got to know about AFC when I was growing up. That is where my father used to get money to do his coffee or do his tea. So it has been, I think it is, AFC is older than you, Mheshimiwa. So why we've not really been very keen on drumming a lot of support for AFC for people to run to AFC is because of undercapitalization. Because even as we see it now, the requests for loans that we have surpass billions, and we are not able to give. The money that I was asking for from Parliament yesterday, 500 million, will not even be able to give out to 5 farmers, although we will give farmers to the more money to the small farmers. And without mentioning names because of confidentiality, I had a lady who came to my office from Kitui, doing very well in mango farming, who has the value chain on mango, requires a lot of support. When you look at what she has done, and is a lady, and we want to support the young men and women in farming, but she was asking for around 150 million shillings, which we can really, or we regret we did not have. Yet our business in the export market, it's a guarantee that, number one, will create opportunity for employment down there, because she has already done it, open our market for our mangoes to the other parts of the world, the EU market and others, but unfortunately, we are not able to support. So I am appealing, I've made a case to Parliament. The President himself said his focus is to have 10 billion go to AFC. How I hope we can be able to generate more revenue, and I am insisting, generating more revenue so that at least these very critical sectors can be supported, and then we can really be able to stimulate economic growth through investment in agriculture. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, less than a month ago, I was opening a forum in Kenya, in Safari Park, on agriculture financing. And we are around 32 exhibitors and people supporting this sector. And everybody appreciates. But the manner, the state at which we are, we have really to work extra time to ensure that we generate more revenue to be able to finance these critical sectors of our economy.